I want to give a special thanks to Allison Matthews and Jamila Hawkins. We have been collaborating for the past several months on creating an event that would actually empower the civil rights leaders of today. Um, what we talked about was living the dream. And what living the dream means to me is that what we need to see in our state is more people actually living in a world that Dr. Martin Luther King envisioned, a world in which Black children and white children would be living in harmony and equity, a world where the divisions that are currently dividing us no longer exist, that there are more people who have access to economic empowerment. The disparities that divide us, they don't have to. Differences don't divide, but disparities do. And what I love about Dr. Martin Luther King is that he appreciated all of those things and said, at the end of the day, we can live so much better than this. And I envision a better future for ourselves. And that people who have that kind of vision, people who want to see these kind of changes in our society, they need to be empowered. And oftentimes, they're not. They're not the organizers and the nonprofits who get the funding. They're overlooked. But we have the opportunity to elevate these visionary leaders and these people who are doing a lot of very important work. I would love to see their work elevated and expanded. So, can you guys see my screen at this point? Living the Dream is about empowering and encouraging civil rights leaders of today. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay. So our organization, our commission has a stated mission, and we are to work to encourage and appropriate ceremonies and activities throughout the state relating to the observance of the legal holiday honoring Martin Luther King. And this is the big one that kind of jumped off the page to me. It also works to promote among the people of North Carolina an awareness and appreciation of the life and work of Dr. Martin Luther King. And that's what I believe that we have the opportunity to do. Next slide, please. So the purpose here, the MLK Commission would extend and expand Martin Luther King's visionary influence on our generation by hosting an event to celebrate, empower, and increase the capacity and effectiveness of North Carolina's community leaders, organizers, and nonprofit sector who are working in the space of racial justice. The outcome of the event would be, we would like to show our appreciation, increase the capacity and effectiveness of North Carolina civil rights leaders, and recognize their achievements. We will increase their capacity. We will accomplish these things by increasing their accessibility to funding, by sharing grant opportunities and connecting grant writers and consultants with small nonprofits and grassroots leaders. The commission will offer from our funding $5,000 grants to help organizations build capacity. The recipients would be recognized at the state Martin Luther King celebration. That to me is a wonderful opportunity because it will show that the commission isn't just about doing things that are celebratory in nature, but effective in nature by pushing and advancing Dr. Martin Luther King's vision. We'd like to establish there is a statewide, we want to create a context for statewide connection, collaboration, and celebration. Why is this important? Because a lot of people are doing great work, but we don't know who each other are. And we can actually potentiate, support, and have a synergistic effect if we knew who each other were and we could help one another. And I think also it's a morale booster because people a lot of times in this work feel very alone and very much like we're climbing uphill. And it doesn't have to be that way. And as a matter of fact, what's come of this event planning is an opportunity for that such synergy and collaboration. Um, One of the things that we would like to do with the groups who attend is support organizational structure. We'd like to support organizational structure and strategic planning for organizations that need that, help them have the tools to be able to increase the strength of their organizations. And we'd like to address topics and issues relevant to the audience. What are the pressing issues of today, and how are we rising to meet these challenges? We're also going to we also have the opportunity, like I said, to have collaboration with another event and host a virtual symposium. So when we first started talking about this, I started dreaming big, and I started thinking about what this event could look like. And I was thinking that it could be a symposium to kind of get some of the hard work done, of addressing these issues. And then I wanted to have a celebration type of a situation, that we would just kind of have a good time and connect and that kind of thing. So we need collaboration with another an event and host a virtual symposium. Sorry about that. So like what I was saying, I was thinking first that we would do our own event, but it turns out that there's somebody else who's doing a very similar event, and we didn't have to recreate the wheel, which gives us an opportunity to invest in what they're doing and also save money to do more work in the future. And so because we know that the event that is coming up on June 20th accomplishes all of what we were looking for and more, already has a built-in audience that is already engaged. We knew that the event would be more successful if we collaborated, which Jamila will tell us about soon. But would also give us the opportunity to host a subsequent online event to catch the people who weren't able to come. And so with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jamila Hawkins.
Good morning, everyone. It's so great to see you all. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. I want to take a moment to introduce to everyone Dr. Don Baldwin Gibson, who is the Executive Director of Peloton Ministries in Pamlico County. Don is a community superstar who has been in the community working to engage citizens around capacity building, resiliency, health, and wholeness, alongside her husband and many other community partners. And so she's going to talk to you about an event that she hosted back in March, where I had a chance to attend as a speaker to talk about the American Rescue Plan Act and the funding that goes along with the American Rescue Plan Act. Let's see. I think something funky happened with the screen, but can everyone see the slide now? Perfect. And so I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Don Baldwin Gibson to talk a little bit about their program and an opportunity that we would like to explore with you as commissioners to sponsor her event and to also do the work that Rebecca mentioned earlier.
Well, thank you so very much. First of all, thank you to all of the commissioners. Thank you, Dr. Harris, as a trauma-informed program and school. We have watched your work, and thank you so much for the work that you do. And to all the commissioners, thank you, Commissioner Hawkins, for this opportunity as well. I wanted to share with you, and thank you, Commissioner Trammell, for that setup for this conversation. We certainly thank you for that. And so to kind of give you the purview of how we got to this, we at Peloton Ministries received some funding from Duke Endowment about 2 years ago, and the onset of COVID-19, around helping faith leaders and communities that were being disproportionately impacted to really be able to respond with some mental health supports. And so we have developed a project called Shell, and And so each one of them has part of the acronym: safety, hope, efficacy, and then lasting linkages. And so at the end of those cohorts, we asked community leaders, what is it that you need or you want to see in your communities that will help support and build these infrastructures of resiliency? And we began to pull all of these conversations together and created the ENC Regional Church and Community Resiliency Collaborative. It was hosted by Peloton Ministries in partnership with Healthier Together and the North Carolina Counts Coalition. I will tell you, we thought on a Monday, yes, we had a team from the White House that came in to hear, to share resource information, and Director Spay, of course, Commissioner Hawkins was there as well. And we really thought if we could get 150, 200 people to come together, that we could really start building this out. Well, if you go to the next slide, you can see what happened. We actually, on a Monday, were able to serve more than 520 individuals, and we had more than 650 people that attended the collaborative. And so one of the things that we realized was that there were so many needs. There were the needs around health equity. So we partnered with Old North State Medical Society to have COVID testing, COVID vaccines, with our local hospitals to have free health screenings, with all of our managed Medicaid plan providers, have all of them in one room. So there was a whole health equity room. And then there was a room for intake, people that were still trying to rebound after either Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Florence, Dorian. There's so many of them at this point. But then also to look at how do we respond to cope the impacts, the economic impacts of COVID-19. But we also had mental health screenings around depression and anxiety. And then we had, if you go to the next screen, we had more than 40 vendors that were on site that were able to share resources and do intake right there on the spot. So if it was North Carolina Emergency Management or land loss prevention, legal aid, coastal community action, people could get the resources right there. And while that was going on, there were these listening sessions with the White House, with state and federal officials, where community-based organizational leaders and faith leaders could share what the concerns were and then also hear what the resources were. And so we did not anticipate that we would have had this level of participation, but what we realized was that the needs were that great. And so if you go to the next screen, you can also see that once we went through the evaluations and really went back over the notes from that list, the listening sessions that happened throughout the day, what we realized was that there was a need to know community services, that there was this disconnect between where the services were and those that needed them. And so what did we need to do to build that out? And then that health equity is a serious concern throughout our region, and that there's more work that we need to do in making those provisions. And that went along with the areas around mental health supports. And then the last thing that we heard, that we probably heard the most in the listening sessions and from the evaluations, were that community-based organizations and houses of worship, that they requested information around funding, resources, and capacity building, because for so many, they could hear what the resources were, but just weren't able to make the connection to them. And so once we realized all of what we had gathered, and being able to hear from Director Coleman from the White House team, Assistant Secretary Angela Bryant, COO Laura Hogshead, and Director Spate from USDA for Rural Development for the state of North Carolina, we really understood is that we needed to come back, and we really needed to delve deeper into really helping support the organizations that are really on the ground making that impact. And so if you go to that, I think this is the last one, but it really was about that we needed to come back. And so that at the end of that day, when people said, we have heard about all of this information, now what do we do with it? It was really about planning out that next stage. And so on Monday, June the 20th, we are inviting all of those community leaders back to delve into building capacity, building these resources and funding. And one of the things that we realized over the last couple of days as we're getting ready to launch the registration link is that the majority of the leaders that were there did not get a chance to visit any of the vendors because they stayed in the room to get information. So this is really about helping the helpers, really about supporting the leaders in a way that allows them to do the work that they are doing and to build it and to expand it. And so we're grateful that we have support from Blue Cross Blue Shields and Golden Leaf and Duke Endowment community foundations that will be a part of the conversations that we will be having that day. But we really are passionate about linking communities together to build the resiliency that is necessary and needed in these times. And so we are grateful for this opportunity to talk with the commission about this work. And I think that when we think about living the dream, it is really the essence of so much about what Dr. King had, not only the foundation that he set, not only the infrastructures that he set, but living them out and continuing them on forward. And so thank you so very much for the time to share about this work and what is happening here in Eastern North Carolina.
Don, I want to thank you for that great presentation and applaud you on the work that you're doing in Eastern North Carolina. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. So now as we get to the committee, I do want to say one, as I prepare to ask for a motion, I want to acknowledge something. And David, this might be something I need you to comment on, as far as to acknowledge some of the work that the subcommittee has done, and that this was, as far as an investigation, that we spent a considerable amount of time exploring other options, and that we spent a great deal of time exploring other options. And it was, we came to this option because we have a limited amount of time and we have to spend this money by a certain day. And this was the most realistic option. So I wanted to make sure that I articulated that before I make this motion, David.
Sure, and I think Rebecca may need to jump in before that as well. But you are correct, and for those, I think what our chair was alluding to is a lot of folks have been working behind the scenes because we knew the clock was ticking. I said May 9th. It's actually May 6th that we need to have this money encumbered by, or we will lose it. And our guest speaker in this event that she has already put together and is ongoing, things sort of came together at the right time. We thought this was an opportunity to further the mission of the commission, to help an organization that's doing the work of Dr. King, and really importantly, keep us from losing this money and put it to a good cause. But I think Rebecca wants to speak to the 5,000, I think so, the $5,000 grants that would go to folks doing the work, and how our guest and her organization could assist us with that in a way that also keeps us from losing the money. So I'll yield to Rebecca. And then again, I think just from the support side, one of the things at the Department of Administration we can help do is, if there is a motion, and I'm not saying there has to be, but if there's a motion that allows the chair and the committee to move forward with these plans, we would then take on the task of preparing an MOU with the organization. We can handle all the financial pieces. We just need an authorization from this group. But I think Rebecca would like to speak a little more to what the commission would be authorizing.
Okay. Rebecca, you can.
The obvious, most expedient way to encumber the money and also do exactly what we were trying to do is to work with Palladium Ministries with Dr. Gibson. And as you guys heard, her work is phenomenal. And there's no there's no improving upon that. I wanted to speak quickly to the subsequent virtual symposium, to kind of expand on the dialogue even after this event on June 20th, which is coming up very quickly. We would talk about at that symposium, we would gather some of the same leaders who might want to come and refresh, but also we would extend this invitation just statewide to have a panel discussion on the issues that impact our lives. Things like the criminal justice system, housing, education, the hot topics that a lot of our organizations are addressing. We would talk about capacity building again and organizational development. We would talk about mental health and the impact of doing social justice work and how to sustain in the struggle. And then we would go on to break out sessions and create a context for collaboration, connection with other leaders. And then I asked Commissioner Matthews for some numbers and some budgetary items regarding the symposium and our work with Dr. Gibson.
Hello, all. I actually made some updates to these slides and in Google Slides, so I don't know if we could. Either way, it's fine if we don't.
I don't have access to Google because I'm on my state computer.
Okay, so you downloaded.
So if someone else can pull it up, I can.
No, it's fine. I can just tell you what the updated numbers. I got the estimate from the subcontractor who has given us an estimate on customizing an online platform that we could use to host the symposium. And that would include graphic design, event promotion and email marketing, technical event management and support during the event, and also helping with printing out any flyers or online promotion that we want for the event. So the updated cost is actually $14,500, I believe. 14,750, excuse me. And so that actually is a pretty typical cost for doing all of that work. But, you know, I do believe that we have funding within our existing coffers as well as funding that we could use from next year. So we wouldn't have to pay that entire amount up front. We could cover the rest of that cost with our upcoming year budget, which would be another $20,000 that we have to work with. I believe we could go to the next slide. And so this is a vendor that is already existent, a minority vendor that's already existent within the North Carolina State System, BCOMS LLC, in collaboration with Campbell Consulting, who I've worked with on previous technological development, online symposiums, and app development and things like that. So I know that they are a very professional vendor and does great work and is very reliable as well. So the budget breakout that we are anticipating and envisioning would be $25,000 in grants, and we would want to grant out $5,000 to each organization for 5 organizations. That number, of course, for the symposium would be $14,750 instead of $10,000. And then we wanted to sponsor Peloton Ministries and her event that is already planned and happening with those potential 650 attendees in June, so that we could, with that event sponsorship, the idea is that, you know, we would be named as a sponsor. We would have opportunity to speak on the commission and speak on the grants, and and, establish kind of a larger partnership with the organizations that are attending, as well as with Peloton Ministries. We're also imagining that as we're thinking that Peloton Ministries would be the ones who would be able to administer the grants. And of course, so with giving them the $25,000 to handle the money and grant out the money, that does take personnel time. And so the adjustment is actually 2,500. So it'd be 10% of the money that we are granting out. We would like to give as an administrative fee to Peloton Ministries to cover the personnel time and effort that will be going in for them to be a part of the process of granting out the money. So that actually is supposed to be $2,500 administrative fee.
Okay. I would like to ask for a motion to authorize me and the committee to move forward with the proposal that's been presented.
Could I ask a question? I'm not looking, so what was presented visually I missed, but I'm trying to get a better sense of what the day would look like. And I know it hasn't all been planned, but we're talking about a single day event at the symposium for a given period of time. Who would the targeted audience be? Do we have some sense of who the entities might be that might be asked to address some of these hot button issues that, most of us could list off 5, 6, 7, 8 of those type issues? I'm trying to get a better picture in my head of exactly what it is we're contemplating. And I know that you can't give all the details, so I'm just asking for sort of a short, succinct description if possible.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Hawkins, I think you might be better able to speak to that. I think you've attended it before, so.
Yeah, I'll take a shot at just describing the day of the event. She hasn't sent the schedule out, but her goal is to have a keynote speaker. And I know right now they're looking to invite Michael Regan, who's with the federal government, to talk about the environmental challenges. And then she's also inviting funders. So she's inviting representatives from foundations across North Carolina to talk about the funding opportunities that these groups can apply for. The target audience will be faith leaders, so pastors, clergy, those in Eastern North Carolina who are leading the church, as well as nonprofit organization leaders, so your executive directors, any of your staff that will attend. And they had over 500 back in March, and so she's guesstimating that they'll have approximately 700 individuals attend this event. And June 20th is actually on a Monday, and for a lot of people, it's the holiday for Juneteenth.
Okay. All right, that helps. Thanks.
Are there any other questions that people might have? And also the whole point of the grants, again, is to increase the capacity of small nonprofits who are actually carrying on the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King. And we will be involved in supporting that grant process as well.
I want to make another addition to the proposal. That 14,750 is for the platform and the graphic design and promotion and management. That does not include speaker fees for the conference. So I would anticipate we would need at least another $5,000 to pay for speakers for our conference that we want to host.
and we'd be able to announce the symposium, the virtual symposium at this event. So it'll give us another launch pad, and it will give also a continuation for the movement that Dr. Gibson has started, and that we gratefully collaborate with her on.
Hi, everyone. Quick question. Is there a way that we could get the edited version of the budget breakdown that Dr. Matthews
I can paste it in the chat. Unfortunately, for the people who have called in, they won't be able to see it, but I can paste it in the chat so people can have access to it.
I'll also have it included in the minutes that are sent out to everybody.
Thank you.
So I want to ask, and I think again, I want to say it's going to be really important that we have to make some movement on this, or we're going to lose this money. It'll go back to the General Assembly. I think, is that correct?
Yes.
So
that is correct.
Okay. So I want to ask for a motion to authorize the subcommittee to move forward with the proposal presented. So we get a motion to authorize the committee and the subcommittee to move forward with the proposal.
I second that.
Okay. So it's been authorized for the subcommittee to move forward with the proposal presented. Question?
And now Jordan will need to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
On the motion as presented.
Okay, Jordan.
Mr. James Williams Jr.
Yeah, yay, yes.
Dr. Rodney Harris.
Yay.
Demetrius Deloach.
Aye.
Rebecca Trammell.
Yay.
Jamila Hawkins.
Yay.
Dr. Stan Holt.
Yeah.
Rabbi Dinner. She's still with us. Let me see. Dr. Matthews.
She gave a thumbs up.
Okay.
Rabbi Dinner gave a thumbs up.
Okay, cool. Dr. Matthews.
Yay.
Nirvana Crew.
Aye.
Merlina Lomick.
Yay.
Okay, and that's everybody present.
Okay. So it's been approved, and so we have that. So yay, we're able to move forward with that. I think afterwards, David, are you giving, I want to say something else. So as far as like introducing new members, we weren't able to have a dialogue and talk and have the introduction because we had to take care of this. And we'll have some time, hopefully, at the next one. And I know David did say that we would have to have a swearing in. And so we know that we have to take care of that business, and that will happen later. And so we'll have an opportunity to do that. So I wanted to acknowledge that. And as far as like final words, I know David probably has something he wants to say. I want to thank everyone for their patience for this. I know we had a lot we got accomplished today. And I want to yield it back to David.
Sure. Anyway, I want to be quick to give you back a little bit of your day. Next steps are it's in our court to handle working on the agreements to make this happen. We will communicate the ethics material via email. The minutes will come via email. Also, if you want to participate in helping make this happen, the subcommittee needs help. There've been just a very few folks who've done that. So you are welcome to participate in any manner that you think would be beneficial to the group, and look forward to working with you all. Thank you all for your time, and I'll turn it back to the chair to adjourn us. Thank you so much.
So this meeting is, oh, can we get meeting dates on the calendar? So those meeting dates, my assumption is that Jordan going to get back with us with those meeting dates? Is that how this?
What I would propose is that Jordan is great at facilitating a lot of things, is that we send some sort of poll to the group to see what date and time is most convenient so that we can have a quorum. I think I've been on commissions and things before where they just set the dates and then people had conflicts before they were even set. So we will try to do some sort of scheduling that makes it easy for everyone to be in attendance, and hopefully that won't be too cumbersome, but Jordan will take the lead on that, and we will communicate that via email.
Yes. So we'll wait to receive that guidance from Jordan, and we can consider this meeting officially adjourned.
Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.